Here on podcasting. Hello, John. Busy afternoon. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you again, too. So, I was just mentioning in the pre live show that I'm working on getting iReal Pro all kind of worked up. If you've seen my videos in the past, you may know that I've had iReal Pro as kind of a teaching aid. And it's a great practice aid too. But I'm working on getting that sorted out on this other computer, which is a PC. And so we've got this kind of emulator and everything going. But still working on the audio routing and latency syncing up, all that timing issues. But actually, I think I've got it kind of sorted out, but I just want to do some more testing before I do that. But anyway, I'm going to use this as a visual aid. So here are the giant steps chord changes. And so sure if I'm going to play through this in real time and just monitor the output. Anyway, I don't want to get into too many technical things, but one of the things that this offers us, just as a follow-up to that video, it really allows us to work on our fundamentals. So this is an example of a really tough tune to improvise on. And it really emphasizes how much we can strengthen our fundamentals in order to play more complex tunes. You might think of two extremes in at least improvisation, where you have kind of a chord like a static chord. I did a video on that a few weeks ago, a minor 7. So you have the same chord that, the challenge there is to kind of keep it interesting, right? Because it's kind of the same notes. So you might try to get out and inside and out. So this tune is kind of on the opposite extreme, where the chords are moving so rapidly. It's a good idea to kind of spend some time just playing mainly chord tones. So let's say B. Let's say I play B. I use that, and then D7, G, B flat, E flat. Okay, so there are just kind of a couple of examples of just kind of trying to spell out the chord, and a couple of things that you kind of do in that respect. Because if you're on the B major 7, we can take advantage of some of the chord tones, right? So like we had there, 3 of those 4 notes that I played on that were directly in the chord, right? So that's something that we can use to help us with all that. Let me take a couple steps back and just talk about pentatonics and melodic structures from the pentatonic kinds of scales, because that can really help to get us working well with these kinds of challenging changes. So let's take something kind of fairly simple here. How about C? We have let's say a C major pentatonic. Okay. Let's take something like A minor. let's say we have a minor pentatonic. So we have a relative major, relative minor, and we're kind of pulling from the same group of tones in the pentatonic. So we have, if we kind of survey our notes, we have A, C, D, E, and G, right? So those are really the same notes from the major pentatonic: C, D, E, G, A, C. All right. So if we kind of take a look at how all that kind of pans out there, we have a couple really open kind of intervals here: minor thirds, whole step, minor third, whole step. So what we could try to do is take on a major chord, play maybe a 4-note grouping, so like the lowest 4 tones, and then on a minor, play like the lowest 4 tones of the minor pentatonic as well. So that can help us to really outline the changes, and it gives us a note that's also not one of the chord tones. So we get a little bit of the stepwise motion mixed in with some chord tones too. So that's a pretty nice feature of that whole thing. So just to recap a little bit there, um, we're talking about uh, melodic structures. We're talking about pentatonic scales. So we're pulling a couple of tones from the pentatonic scale. And if you want to check out a book that is really helpful in this respect, you can check out Jerry Bergonzi, Volume 1, Melodic Structures, which I'm going to read from a little bit. It's one particular topic that I want to share with you. It's kind of hopefully I can find it here, but I think that's by Advanced Music. But it's part of a whole series, and so I highly recommend that. But this could be a really good resource. It doesn't have any tablature or anything like that in it, but it does offer quite a lot of insights into this topic that we're working with here. Okay, so here, I think this is kind of what I'm thinking of here. Let me see if I can share a view here for a moment, or maybe I'll just talk about it here. All right, so if we take, let's say from A, play. We kind of get some symmetry here. So it was we have this minor third, and then a major second, and then a major second, and a minor third. So you could say that they kind of mirror each other. So you get minor third, whole step, whole step, and then minor third, right? So let's try that out. So I'm on the third string here, fret 2. So we got a minor third, whole step, minor third, right? So we kind of get this mirror image here as far as the intervals from that kind of middle note. And if you're looking for a really great way to uh, start to understand some of the music theory and some of the fundamentals of that, try to limit yourself to one string, kind of like I just did. So you just take a string and play a major scale or whatever it is that you're trying to work on, because it kind of minimizes that complexity a little bit. So you just say, okay, got these steps and things, so you can really get a linear idea of what's going on. All right, so let's see if we can talk about just some basics of uh, melodic structure. So melodic structure and there are a lot of these things you could do, different permutations, different uh, inversions of them. So something like that on a B, the B major, or but anyway, the basics. I'm glad to hear that, John. Yeah, awesome. One string. John says that one string tip works. So we say, okay, for B, and the D7. Kind of the nice thing about it is that that particular melodic structure will work for major sevens and dominant sevens. So anything that has a major triad. Oh, hi, James. I'm glad you made it. So we get that. And then G major, B flat. Okay. And some of these were right in that uh, John Coltrane solo excerpt that I talked a little bit about. So the A minor melodic structure generally play like that. It was just a little bit different. So we say like the first four notes of the minor pentatonic. So we might play like that, and then D7, and then you kind of start it out again. So let's see if I can remember what we just did. So on B, D, G, B flat, E flat, okay, and then A minor, D. Okay. So when you first start doing that, it's going to sound very much like an exercise, and that's what exercises are for. But when you get more familiar and you can do the different permutations and you can do different inversions and things, then you can move to create a lot more variety on things. So the permutation idea is the order that you play one of these melodic structures in. So you might play permutation of going downward. So then you just try. Right, and then so just a different permutation. So you could do it from any. You could do it like that. So kind of the appeal of that is then you can start mixing things up and doing different permutations. So that's permutation. And then inversions of them would be just choosing one of the four notes as kind of your lowest note, and then you get a little more openness to the sound. And that's one appealing kind of thing about these is so say I have B. So I played a little bit like that earlier on. So we might play something like that. So anyhow, it's a good opportunity to try to play um, really simply and master certain core elements of harmony, um, which is the 5-1, the 2-5, and then combinations of that, 2-5-1. So those are some really important types of uh, progressions on that. So, aside from these kind of melodic structures, which is, I think, a really great jumping off point, you can also play kind of full pentatonics, which are really, really helpful. And sometimes if you're seeing this, you might say, the B major 7, D7. But really want to see like the D7 to G major 7. That's where the function is happening. The D7 to G major 7, B flat 7 to E flat major 7. You can see at the very end of the progression, we have F sharp 7 to B at the very beginning. So that's the 5-1 motion. So if you were to take a C major scale, let's say, and omit two notes, these two notes, then we get the C major pentatonic, which is kind of what we just talked about earlier. Even though that doesn't contain all the notes that I'm playing here, it's just still something that we can use on that sound because this is a family, you might say. So this is a major type chord. So there's a lot of different ways that we can play that chord. We can think of it as a 6-9. We can think of it as a major 9. Anyway, we're omitting those two tones. And then if you say, okay, play a G7, and then you would omit these two tones, the C and the E, and you end up with the dominant pentatonic. So when you go in to play, and then you could practice all that. So okay, think G7, C, G7, and C, G7, C, G7, C, G7, C, and just keep going back and forth with that, exploring it. So that's another very kind of foundational thing that we can use. So now we're opening up, 5 notes, but generally you might choose 4 of the 5 notes. So say B, might play D7, G, B flat 7, E flat major 7, and then A minor 7, D7, and then back to the G. So there's some use of pentatonics, and we're just kind of choosing 4 of the notes from one of the pentatonics. So I'm basically using the major pentatonic on the major chords, dominant pentatonic on the 7th chord, dominant 7th chords, and then the minor pentatonic on the A minor 7th chord. So the thing that you can do to help to create smooth lines is have as many reference points as you can kind of think of as you play a certain note. So on or certain chords. So say B major 7. So then you kind of think, okay, well, it doesn't always have to be this way, but mastering this is really important. You say, okay, well, I want some sort of stepwise motion when I'm connecting between two chords. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be that way, but you want to really kind of master it. So you can do it a lot of the times, have the control. So you say, okay, B major, maybe I use those notes. And then you could say, okay, if I want stepwise motion, I can go a whole step back to that for the D7. Or you say, okay, choose the same 4 notes for B major 7. Maybe I want to go up a half step. Right? So then your lines start to sound like a little more maybe connected. And I'm using some thirds there too, but as you heard earlier, they can sound very kind of disconnected and exercise like if you play that like that. So that's where if you take the approach of those melodic structures, which is still rooted in pentatonics, you can do the same thing, which is to try to connect the the chords from one to the next with maybe like a stepwise motion. All right, I'm gonna take a look around. Thanks so much for watching. Got quite a few folks here. Thanks for checking this out. I'm gonna take a look at Facebook here real quick and make sure everything's going all right. And generally, I don't have a lot of viewers there, so usually not many comments. I'm also live streaming a podcast, so check that out as well. Things looking good. A couple of updates to the website. I'm trying to make everything kind of easier to find and getting things going in that respect as well. So if you get a chance to check out the website, I have a lot of kind of updates on that site, and it's definitely a work in progress. So check back often if you can. So let's learn a little bit about Ted Green. So he's got some really famous books. Really an incredible musician and educator and guitarist. And I was looking for a live video of him playing this Christmas tune. Have yourself a merry little Christmas, and I found one. It was really cool. And it sounded like he was pretty much improvising and just kind of all over the neck, full range of the instrument and playing these really cool. I'm not going to play anything exactly like what he just did, but I've talked about this a little bit on the channel before, which is to play. Let's say I'm like playing a C major 9 chord. So you kind of, not sure if he was doing exactly that, but something along these lines. So what you do there, I'm not getting on too much of a tangent, but you basically find a note. And this is a little hard to demonstrate, but your octaves are 12 frets above wherever you're playing, right? So there's going to be a strong harmonic there. So if I have an open string, I can touch the string without pressing down. This is one mistake folks make when I'm trying to explain this. So you kind of just touch the string lightly without pressing it. Okay, and then you take the thumb behind Sure how well that's coming across. I don't have the uh, angle set up for exactly that. But anyway, that's kind of the thing. The thumb is setting the string in motion, right? And the finger. And once you set a harmonic in motion, then you can remove your finger. So you get this really kind of cool sound. So a couple of folks to check out on this. Tal Farlow would take a whole chorus or more, just like doing that whole thing. Um, so you just add 12 to whatever and to whatever wherever you are, and if you think, okay, for 3, it's gonna be 15, right? So the finger markers are gonna kind of help with that as well. All right, so let's check out a little bit about Ted Green and see what we can learn there. This setup here. So, like I said, Ted Green, he did some quite a lot of, um, or my understanding is that he did quite a few clinics and things, and taught guitar privately, and I think he had at least one album, but maybe more. Let's check him out a little bit. Wikipedia page. Yeah, John says, because I'm pretty much a hobbyist, giant steps is more than I care to tackle. Need to recognize the melody. Yeah, I get that. And I think that's part of why I haven't done a whole video on that. But I might get back to the melody a little bit today because the melody itself is kind of simple in a way. So let's learn a little bit about Ted Green before I get to all that. Um, American fingerstyle jazz guitarist. That's the first statement here. That's interesting. Okay. Um, Started guitar age 11. Did pretty well in high school. Sounds like. Um, Studied accounting and then decided on the guitar direction. Played in some bands. A bunch of notable things here. But check out Ry Cooter if you get a chance. I think there were some. He's been in some documentaries and stuff. So that's a little aside there. So he's recognized as a jazz musician, but played many musical styles as well. Role as an educator, seminars at the Guitar Institute of Technology. There are quite a few videos from there. So they must have an archive of their videos and stuff. And I think they have some pretty well produced releases as well. So if you get a chance to check that out. And then he played occasionally live, usually playing a Fender Telecaster. All right, cool. So Green recorded one album, solo guitar, which was produced by William Perry and Leon White, released in 1977, PMP Records. So Sounds pretty cool. So if you get a chance to check him out. I was checking out some video of him. Um, Kind of looks like some spots where he was at a music store, some of these colleges and schools and things. So if you get a chance to check him out a little bit online, I think that would be uh, helpful to folks. And he's got a real famous book. I think it's called Chord Chemistry, something like that. All right, let's check out a little bit of the. Maybe take a little look at the melody for Giant Steps and talk about that a little bit. Can kind of dial this in. So this can be found in the new real book too. And see if we can just kind of get a look at the melody a little bit. Like John said, um, that's actually where we want to connect with things and going. So you can find this in the new real book too. So the melody starts out like that. If we take a look at the first um, few notes, if you were to just kind of take this out of context and forget the chords altogether and just sort of um, take a look at those tones, just kind of on their own, spells out kind of a G major 7 chord, you might say, or an arpeggio. And then we get this tone, right? Of the B flat. And so this is kind of interesting here. So we have this tone, and then we have a half step above it, a half step below it. It's kind of interesting because that's sort of, if we were to reverse those tones and play, right? That's kind of a targeting sort of thing. So we have that aspect. So we're kind of encircling that tone. So it's interesting that's sort of like that's in reverse order. I don't know if there's any significance to that or not, actually, but anyway, that's just an observation making. And then let's take a look at kind of another segment of it here. So we get kind of a similar relative kind of pattern. All right. So, okay, so we have, you might think, again, kind of out of the context of everything, think about this as a E flat major 7 kind of arpeggio, right? And then we get sort of the same relative kind of thing happening there, and then the same sort of the same phenomenon afterwards. So kind of the symmetry to this is kind of interesting when it comes to playing on these 2/5 type progressions. So sort of at the end of that measure, A minor 7 and the D 7. So that B is the 9 of that chord, and the A is the 5th of the D7. Okay, and then we have on the F minor, just looking below there, on the F minor, we have the 9 of that chord, and then on the D, or B flat 7, we have the 5th of that chord. So there's sort of a sameness to it, right? So like I said earlier, we had this, we could kind of see this pretty well on guitar, right? Because we can easily transpose, sort of. So if I have this G major 7 triad, or not triad, arpeggio, and then we can kind of see the sameness of that, the relative sameness. So there we go, that's better. So we have the G major 7 and E flat major 7 as well. And then that B flat is the 5th of E flat. So that's measure 3 on the top line. And then the F sharp is the 5th of the B. So it's kind of stating the same thing, and just kind of going down a major third. So that's kind of interesting, I think. Check out. And then if we go a little further, and check out, like I said, the second half of the tune, like I said in that video the other day, the second half of that tune is a series of 2/5s in those same tonal areas. So we have we're ending on the 5th. Now this one, it's kind of nice that it's mixed up a little bit, because he could, on the C sharp minor 7, it could have played that, which is kind of giving us maybe a lot of the same. So here we get the 13 on the F sharp 7, play that note again, and then we get up to the 5th on the B major 7. So kind of always going to that 5th. This, like we talked about before, kind of going back to that. So as far as kind of chord melody goes, and I think there's a Joe Pass recording of him playing like solo on it. There's also a Matheny recording. He plays in a group on it. So there's definitely some really cool guitar things to check out on this. But if we are just let me just check in and make sure I'm not missing any. Yeah, Yeah, John says my biggest problem with giant steps is that it's always played at breakneck tempo. Yeah, so that was one thing I think that was maybe even surprising to some of the members in the ensemble on the original recording is just how fast it was. So you could kind of hear that a little bit um, on some of the solos, but yeah, it's just so fast. It's just such an just to think about how incredible an accomplishment that was, uh, for Coltrane just to play like just to play like that and to have that, and it's not just this tune. There are quite a few others that just employ these, what's sometimes called the kind of matrix. But check out Pat Metheny if you haven't already. Pat Metheny Giant Steps. It's played really pretty slow. Not like slow, but it's slower relative to it's actually a pretty comfortable tempo. I think the first time I heard it, I was pretty surprised at how slow it was. Um, but so it really does kind of it does work in that way. So James Powell, oh sorry, I missed your comment. Um, so see, James says, uh, yeah, he died young. So yeah, Coltrane died fairly young. I'm not sure if you're mentioning Ted Green or John Coltrane. I guess both of them are died young compared to the uh, average life expectancy. So, um, so what was I getting at? Oh yeah, I wanted to come back a little bit to before we head off here. And thanks so much for watching um, and your comments. But I want to get back here a little bit to some just kind of chord melody um, ideas on this. See, I lost my screen here. Okay, there it is. All right, so maybe I'll just talk about that a little bit, and then let me know if you have any last minute questions. Um, and also, well, I welcome and anything that you're um, struggling with or just interested in. It really helps to shape things on the channel. A couple things I plan to do. Um, I want to do some. I want to do some Christmas tunes, which I might do at least one on this channel, but I have a bunch of classical things I want to do on my Fret Prince Classical channel, which is just kind of a very small channel that I have going on. But I also want to put out a video on a tune that we've been looking at this week on the member area, which is There Is No Greater Love. So keep an eye out for a melody video on that. I haven't gotten very far with it, so probably will be later this week. So let's check out some just kind of voicings. So the symmetry of this whole thing, I keep using that word, but you get a lot of kind of sameness, you might say. So if we have a B major 7, play this chord. Maybe I'll play some really super simple voicings. So you play like D7. So let's see, we want, yeah, so we have maybe play. Right. Or even this one, so you kind of say, okay, maybe get back to this tone and then you could kind of do all those same kinds of things over here. So you get kind of the same thing, like I said, a major third down, just like we talked about over there. And then um, it's interesting. It kind of works its way down like that, and then it starts to. So that's F minor 9, B flat 7, and then E flat major 7. It's gonna really kind of works its way up. A minor 7 to D, 7 to G major 7, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7 to to the B, F sharp 7 to B major, and then minor, B flat 7. Then we're gonna get way up here. Okay. And then we can kind of repeat those. So the tune itself is not super hard to play. I think the hard part is improvising on it. I think that's fairly kind of clear. Um, on when you kind of take a look at if you were to kind of play it by rote or something, it really wouldn't be that hard to do to play the chords, um, the chord changes. If you just kind of found the spots and maybe play the chord melody or just play the melody. I think in that respect, it's fairly accessible. Um, the real hard part is to improvise on it fluently. And so, like I mentioned earlier on in the live stream, it can kind of really push or force one into a situation where they have to really get into basics, right? Because one of the things about this is in contrast to like playing like a blues. Where you can might say, um, you could pretty much kind of play one scale the whole time, and maybe outline some things, but you could kind of just kind of hang there and react to the rhythm section and all that. But when it comes to giant steps, that approach is going to be crazy hard to pull off and sound like one is sort of informed of what's going on with it. Um, so it kind of say, okay, then you say, okay, do I know how to make a 5/1, sound clearly, okay, because it becomes incredibly important, right? And it's really kind of always important, but it really forces the issue. So um, I'd recommend. working with it if you like the tune, of course. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Improvising is out of the question. Yeah, I get that. But thanks for it. My new study college was able to get me a few of the major fake books on the computer. Awesome. That's cool. I think it's good to have the paper copies too. I think it's good to have the resources online as well. Um, but um, but yeah, it's nice to I think have a physical books. I'd recommend to folks have um, both. So books that I would say, as far as fake books go, definitely have a physical copy of the real book one, um, and then have. I find there's a lot of tunes in the new real book two, but I'd recommend having all three of the new real book two. I'd recommend having three of um, the regular real books. Maybe the Latin real book and stuff like that. Uh, so cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking this out and for watching. You're welcome, James. So fake books, James, are basically books that are filled with what are known as lead sheets, which gives you a very basic idea of a tune. So the word fake comes originally out of faking a tune, faking your way through it. So it sort of just gives you the basic idea, which is not really faking it, but I mean, you could take the real book and and use that to really play a tune for sure. But yeah, that's where the original name of it comes out of. So the real book is sort of, I mean, this is kind of an assumption that I'm making. The real book is a fake book that just has a kind of a clever name. So it's sort of like it's a real book so, versus a fake book. So but it is basically a fake book. Um, so the fake part of it is not really talking about the book itself, but just like the nature of the music, and it gives you the most basic idea of the tune. You get the chord changes and the melody, so there's typically not really any arranging kind of things or anything. So those are more have to do with like charts and things. So I just Googled it. Yeah. So, all right, everybody, thanks again. Hope you enjoy this. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for supporting the channel. Um, and of course, if you want to dig deeper, I'll just give a plug for the whole member area here on YouTube, which is been going really well. I've been doing a lot of cool things. I'm trying to gear things towards folks and their comments and stuff, and trying to dig deeper here into uh, guitar playing and jazz and all that. So check that out. And I am also available for private lessons um, online. All right, everybody. Thanks again. And I'll see you all in the next video.